We have a good conclusion to a story that I was covering a few days ago, and it's honestly a rarity nowadays. With all the constant stream of bad news after bad news when it comes to censorship, payment processors, or whatever is going on within the anime and manga space, it's nice to see that a story that started off very bad, that I talked about a few days ago, has a happy conclusion. So let's just get right into this. Today is not the end of something, it's the start. Because on this day, we can say we won. Steam has decided to change their decision and not censor our page. We stood our ground and didn't bend the knee. Going forward, we will keep fighting censorship. If we can win, so can you. We are a small team, hardly anyone knew of, but we stood for what we believed in and won against the biggest platform. But we didn't do this alone. It's because of all of you, people from around the world. You told us to keep going, and you stood with us. We are so grateful for you all, and we won't stop now. We have a growing community, so thank you for the light in the dark. We don't have to be scared of censorship anymore. Without devs making games, they have no income. Without you, the players, they have no power. Now, let us show you what we can do without the restrictions. This drama, and even the memes, that was a little fun, but with our creations, we have a long way to go, but stick with us. Give us this chance, and we will give it our all. This isn't over, it's the start. Stand up to censorship. We are going to be posting more about this below. We have a lot of questions we are working through with them, but we don't want to post until we have all the answers, just so it's accurate. Also, it still says reviewing on our end, but we have been assured they will sort that, so in good faith, we have made this post. And this is an official statement from Steam support. Thanks for your patience here. After further evaluation, we don't think your graphical assets rise to the level of maturity in those linked guidelines, so we've approved them for release. And this is what their follow-up post was. Just to follow up, the page might not be up for up to 5 days. This is due to having to resubmit, but they have assured us that it will go through. This is a technical issue rather than a restriction. We shall see. We have asked for clarity on what the rules actually are, and this is what, this team has asked. Are 18-plus game pages censored now, or was this false information? Was it 2 rogue employees, aka like rogue employees going out of their way and just completely rejecting games because they just don't like the games, but allowing, let's say, like a random game that showcases a man's backside? That's A-okay. Pretty much asking, is this rogue employees forcing their agenda on the platform? Will this happen again? Is the statement about behinds regards of clothing being sexual Steam's actual belief? We will keep you posted. So, to really get right into this is such good news for one big reason. There are so many stories we have seen lately in just the last few months to where you see creators, artists, or whatever, they lose their income just overnight. In just one night, just randomly, they lose it all. And they are left in the dust, in the wind, and they don't know what they're going to do next. They worked and dedicated maybe hours, weeks, months, years, maybe even decades on something, and then just in one night, because of the whims of a random individual that wants to force their agenda on something, they lose all their income overnight. And I'm glad to see that we have, even if it is a rarity, and that's sad to say, I am still glad to see we have a happy ending to this story at the very least. That this dev team was able to get their game reinstated, but also this can be the start, a domino effect of a lot of good news. And that's something I really want to tack onto, and why I'm even dedicating a big video to this again. I mean, I was going to do it regardless because this is good news, but I think this is very important to talk about. The point is that what Aftermath here even talks about, they even state that they were a relatively unknown and not really big studio that was working on a game. Nobody really knew about them. I want to be honest with you, I didn't even know about them prior to this entire situation. And this situation, despite it being a very bad situation, turned out to be kind of a really big deal for them, because now it's put them on the map, and a lot more people that never would have engaged with them or even knew about their game and products now is aware of their products. Not just because of me making a video on it, but just in general. A lot of people that have been heavily focusing on censorship of games and stuff on Steam and itch.io, and what payment processors have been doing to Japanese games and websites, manga, and anime, they're paying attention to this. And a lot of people, regardless if they don't even like the game that Aftermath makes, is going to go out of their way to support them. I know I am. I know for a fact I'm going to buy a copy of their game. And even if I don't necessarily like the game, because I haven't played it, I'm going to be honest with you, I'm still going to buy a copy of it. And the reason for that, it's more of a statement to stand up against censorship. That is my true opinion on it, because I don't like the fact that you have these different companies or employees doing these arbitrary guidelines to remove things, but then in turn allow something else that's even worse to run rampant on a platform. I mean, it goes back into the whole thing I've talked about with payment processors. Like Visa, they will shut down like anime sites and different game sites or whatever, but in turn, they'll still support Roblox that had that whole controversy just a month and a half ago, or they'll allow OnlyFans to continue to exist. You get the point. What I'm getting is that this is a big deal because we actually have a win. This is a win against censorship, that Steam was willing to back off and be like, okay, yeah, we can't allow this. And they allowed them to be reinstated. Now, obviously, this is a small step because there is a lot of other games that have been hurt by these random rules and regulations. I mean, I talked about this already last week. There was a bunch of Japanese games that have just been completely removed or rejected, and there was really no reason given besides, as I've already talked about, most likely racism or xenophobia to some degree. That's my educated guess here, or some form of payment processor meddling thanks to their involvement with a new policy on Steam. But the point is I hope that this will allow Steam to do an internal investigation thanks to, Aftermath contacting them and being like, look, is this how you feel about adult games now? How you feel about, like, the backside of a woman? Do you, like, that's fully clothed? Do you think that, that's how you feel about the entire statement? Or the employees that did this, are they rogue employees? Is this just how the entire team operates? I'm glad that this studio is asking these questions. I think that this is very important because obviously they could have taken this victory and just left it be as is. But the fact that they're going out of the way, they're making a statement now and saying stand up to censorship is the very thing I talked about. That stuff like what's been going on radicalizes people. It does. Like, this is probably a gaming studio and company, a group of people that never would have probably talked about censorship maybe. They probably never would have made posts like this. But thanks to everything that happened, they're now actively fighting against censorship. And obviously, I think everybody should fight against censorship, but a lot of people just like to be neutral. They just don't want to be involved because it doesn't really bug them. But when you continuously drag more and more people into the conversation, then you're going to have a lot more pushback. And that's what's going on here, is that a lot of people are being dragged into this, and these payment processors that are continuously censoring things, or these platforms censoring things, or these age verifications, or whatever, it's causing people to push back. And when you anger enough people, you're no longer going to be able to get away with what you've been doing. And that's the whole thing I talked about already in many, many videos, like with the whole brand protection. I don't understand the end game goal of like Visa and Mastercard and stuff, because it's like they want to censor stuff because of brand protection or think of the kids. And I'm just like, what you're doing is you're hurting your brand. You're making people not even want to deal with your brand. You're making people not even want to associate. Like, you have actual Japanese sites like DL Site creating their own payment processor not to even deal with your mess. Basically, they're hurting their own brand. They're pushing people away with their just continuous bad decision making. So, all I'm going to say is that I hope that this situation leads to more creators and game companies, studios, and staff or whatever that has been affected to rise up and speak about this. I really hope people do. And if you are a game company, a studio or whatever that has been hit very similar to like what's going on here, an artist or whatever, let me know. Contact me either in the comment section of this video or in my DMs on Twitter. I will look through them and I will see, cross-check with you, and I would like to talk about it because I feel like more people need to be aware of what's going on. It's not okay, and as I've always said, I stand for creative expression and freedom within art and anime and manga and stuff. I feel like it's wrong to censor artists, and so, yeah, I am for you guys. So if there's any of you guys that are also very similar to this that just didn't have a voice to really speak out for you, like I said, let me know. But I'll leave it at that. Just wanted to bring this good news to everybody's, feed. Obviously, I talked about some bad things in this video, but overall, it's positive news because a good conclusion here means that it could start leading to more good conclusions if we keep the pressure on. This does mean that Steam and others will back off if pressured enough by the, the actual customers. So, yeah, remember that. Your voice does matter. It does affect these companies. So never back off and think that your voice is unheard. I'll leave it at that, though. I love you guys. Thank you so much for watching. Be safe, stay healthy. Leave a comment on the video. Helps with the algorithm, and I would greatly appreciate it. Chibi out.